All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our KeyBank workshop series, the basics of web design. We are so fortunate again to have Lauren Middleton of Forest City Marketing here to do this. You know, I got to say, Lauren has done an outstanding job for us. She's our leader of our Women's Leadership Collaborative Network, and she's doing an outstanding job in that role. So thank you, Lauren, for all you do. Thank you for being here. Just want to go over a few housekeeping options. If you have a question, please use the question and answer function at the bottom or the chat function. We will get to those at the end of the session. For those of you calling on the phone, if you have a question, you could shoot me an email at johanna@middlesexchamber.com. That's JOHANNA at middlesexchamber.com. Again, thank you for joining us this morning, and I'll turn it over to you. Take it away, Lauren.
Good morning, everyone. Another snowy Tuesday in Connecticut. Today we're going to go over some basics of web design. I don't know how much experience you all have out there, but basically what this seminar is going to be about is the tools that are out there on the internet right now to create a basic website just to get your business listed on the internet. Because as we all know, especially in the time of the pandemic, it is very important to have a website. All right, so we're going to start. Okay, so here are some statistics on why you need a decent looking website. And this is especially important if you sell things online or have an e-commerce site. 94% of the first impressions relate to your website's design. And we're going to get into that further into the presentation, but basically your website's design is your business's first impression. A lot of your credibility comes from your design. So if you have a site up that looks, sloppy and doesn't have security, your credibility is going to go down. 89% of your consumers shop with a competitor after a poor user experience. So if your website is too difficult to navigate and use, you're going to lose your business to a competitor. And it's very important to have a mobile-friendly site because 74% of users are more likely to return to mobile-friendly sites. And we'll get into that further into the presentation. Okay. All right. So I don't know how much all of you know about some web design, but here are some common myths I hear in my business on a daily basis that I'm going to kind of go over with. Oops, sorry about that. Here we go. All right. So number one is once your website is online, you'll automatically attract visitors. This is untrue. The site has to go through indexing by Google. It has to start crawling. There are things that Google uses called robots that actually crawl the text on your site to get you listed on Google, and that can take up to 3 months. It actually takes a really long time. And we'll go into SEO further into the presentation. Only online businesses need a website. Absolutely not. Especially now with restaurants being closed and everything, everybody should definitely have a website. You can use it so people can find your business, to call you, but it's basically a website is the newer version of a phone book. You want to be listed no matter what type of business you have. Okay, so third, sorry, I cut that off on there. If your website looks good, you'll start making sales. Absolutely not. It goes back to, again, you have to get indexed, you have to get crawled by Google. You have to make sure that, all of your listings are well presented. And again, that all goes back to search engine optimization. Once your website is up, the work is done. Absolutely not. So we'll go into this further into the presentation, but if you want to keep your website relevant weekly with Google and other search engines, you kind of have to make additions at least once a month to refresh your content. And that can be done with blogging, adding more search terms, and then you'll top the search rankings from day one. Another SEO myth, absolutely not. It takes 1 to 3 months to really get up there. Ideally, you want to be on the first page of any search engine like Google or Bing, because as they say, the best place to hide a body is on the second page of Google or search engines. Okay, going back to keeping your content fresh on your website. Why should I have a blog? A blog gives you content to share on social media. Not only does it serve the purpose of providing original and relevant content, it also drives traffic back to your website. So I write probably 5 to 6 blogs per week for clients, and I actually use a method called they ask you answer to do so. So it really depends on what industry you have. But what I do is I go into Google and I search for questions that people are answering that are relevant to the industry I'm writing for. For example, I work for a lot of landscapers. So I did a really good one last week, which is a really simple question. People were asking, how do I spread grass seed effectively? And I think we got 1,000 views on that on the first week. So go into Google, do some research, and see what people are asking about your industry. So if people ask those questions, your website will come up as an answer, and therefore you have they ask you answer. There's actually a book out there I highly recommend by a man called Marcus Sheridan. He's actually the founder of HubSpot, but definitely check it out. It's totally worth it. Okay, now we're going to kind of go into the different types of website builders that are out there right now that are drag and drop versus a little more technical. So the easiest websites out there, the easiest website builders out there for beginners, in my opinion, are Wix, Squarespace, and Weebly. All three are drag and drop website builders, and they're also WYSIWYG website builders, which means what you see is what you get. And we'll go further into those further on, but a little more difficult, and this is the platform that I use to build all my websites. It's called WordPress. WordPress kind of started out as a blog back in the early 2000s, but now it is one of the most popular content management systems out there for businesses to build on, and it's my personal favorite. Okay, so here's some information on Wix. So Wix offers an excellent drag and drop site builder to create smaller websites. They have these wonderful things called templates, which are basically they give you a pre-built design and then you just fill in the information. You can get your own hosting and you can also purchase a domain name. You can add photo galleries or e-commerce. It's really up to you. It can get a little bit technical, but luckily they have, a million training videos out there on how to do the more technical stuff. Squarespace is actually a website builder designed by the company that created the Square payment system. It provides software as a service for website building and hosting. Again, it provides templates as well, and then drag and drop elements. So if you see a template that you like, all you have to do is pick that template, and then you can pick the pieces that you're going to put into that template to suit your specific industry. It's one of the most popular platforms out there for e-commerce. Okay, Weebly is one of the older drag and drop systems. I used it maybe back in like 2010, 2011. But again, it has lots of templates. You can purchase your domain there. Again, there's a million videos that you can watch to use. You can purchase your domain. You can run your blog or your online store. So feel free to go out there and do some research as to what you think would suit your industry the best or what you think is easiest. All of these now, I believe, have Google Suite integration. So if you want to have a dedicated email address with your domain name, you can actually do that. So for example, my dedicated email address with my domain name is lmiddleton@forestcitymarketing.com. It's always good to have a domain-based email because it makes you look more professional and more of a legit organization. Okay, so getting into the more technical aspect of web design, like I said, my personal favorite is WordPress. It's an open source website creation platform, content management system written in PHP that uses a MySQL database. Non-geek speak, WordPress is the easiest and most powerful blogging and website builder in existence today. There are options you can use WordPress templates, and you use a thing called themes to build your site. There's a gazillion themes out there to pick from, and you can pick, any industry. There's ones for podcasts, there's ones for e-commerce, and they work out really well. I also use a tool called Elementor when I build my WordPress sites, which is a little bit of drag and drop and a little bit of HTML, which is hypertext markup language, to create a little bit more of a personal feel to the websites. But it definitely takes some time to learn. But once you have it down, it's really easy to memorize, and I highly recommend it if you want to get into the more advanced parts of web design. Okay, so here are some common terms that you'll see on a daily basis with different aspects of web design. So a domain name, the .com of your website. So my domain name is forestcitymarketing.com. Web hosting, a service that makes your website visible to people on the World Wide Web. So popular web hosting out right now is Bluehost, HostGator, GoDaddy, but you have to basically have that hosting to make your site visible to the people on the internet. And there's different options out there. You can get shared hosting, which is usually really, really cheap, up to $4 a month, or you can get the more advanced VPS hosting, virtual private server hosting, which is a little bit more secure and makes your site quicker for up to, I think it's $20 a month on the different hosting sites. Registrar is the company that you use to register your domain name. So for example, if you registered your domain through GoDaddy, they would be your domain registrar. GoDaddy is the #1 place to buy domains just because they're really, really cheap. And then SSL certificate is a secure sockets layer or secure site lock. If you look into your browser and you see the little lock in the URL bar, that means that your site is secure. So for example, I'm using Canva right here, and if you can still see my screen, this means this site has a secure site lock and is secure. So you want to make sure your site has that, because it actually protects your visitors' information and payments. And that's really important, especially if you have an e-commerce site. And normally most website hosting packages have that automatically installed. Okay, getting back to, so once you decide that, you want to go through with this and you want to start building your website, there's certain steps that you can go through to do so. So #1 is you want to buy your domain. There are some domain resellers out there that are charging people thousands of dollars for really popular domains. So if you decide that it's a domain you really want, just buy it. Just get it over with and buy it quickly, because these resellers snap them up and sell them back for thousands of dollars. Oftentimes you can purchase your domain with website hosting that is included. And like I said, you can choose between the shared hosting and the quicker VPS hosting, but it often comes in a package deal. Then you want to draw out your design. I wouldn't just jump in and start, throwing pieces of your website together. I'll sit down and I'll actually physically draw out the design I'm thinking, or at least the homepage or the landing page, just so you know what you're getting into. I highly recommend writing out your content like on Microsoft Word or Google Docs before actually putting it into the website, just to use it to optimize your terms for search. And we're actually going to show a website later that can help you do that. After you have your content written by page, you want to start building. So pick your template, find your graphics, and if you work with a team, try to make it a team-based effort and listen to everybody's critiques and use everybody's ideas. Once you have that built and you have a final design, to make yourself more legit, I would use a domain email. Like I said, you can always connect it to G Suite, which is often a package deal with all of these hosting companies. So you can have, Susie at susiescakes.com or John at greenlandscaping.com. It just gives a little bit more of legitimacy to your business and looks more professional. Okay, so there's a couple different, so when you purchase a domain name, you're going to get an option to pick the end of it, which is usually .com or .org. There's also .net. Um, there's a .uk for the United Kingdom, but most often I see .com and .org. .org is primarily used for nonprofit organizations, and then .com is usually for profit businesses. So if you have a nonprofit, you want to pick a domain name that is, so and so .org. Okay, so when you start to build your site, there are 5 pages that you should absolutely 100% have to start. Number 1 should always be contact us. You want your contact page to be visible right when the person opens the site. So if they have questions, they can easily access that page to contact you. And that should include, you know, a form that they can send in, your email address, as well as your phone number, but that should be clear and visible for them to see. Uh, then your homepage. Modern website designs, they take the homepage and they kind of take all of the information on the website and they compress it and stick it onto the homepage because um, people are lazy these days. So if they go to the homepage and they see all the information they're looking for, that's great. What you can do is when you're putting out separate pieces of information, you can always put a button that says read more to kick you off that homepage to read other parts of the site. But make sure you put little bits of the most of your website on the homepage for people to find easily. You should always have an about us page. So on the about us page, you can put who your staff are, what your company does, what your mission is. I'm always a fan of putting photos of the staff on the about us page just because it gives a face to the company um, and gives the user a more personal experience. Uh, Products and services, very, very important. So I would always put this on the home page as well as putting a separate page for products and services, but people want to know what you offer. So for example, if I go to your site that's about, let's see, you're a veterinarian. So if I go to your site, I want to know like what services do you offer as a veterinarian? So do you offer spays and neuters? Do you offer, surgery? Do you offer nail trims for a dog? It's important to list all of those. And whether you put your pricing, that's entirely up to you. I usually don't list pricing on mine just because excuse me, that's not a COVID cough. Putting the pricing kind of skips that interaction you might get with a phone call for people asking how much are your services. So if they call you to ask, how much are your services, it gives you a chance to establish a rapport, which is nice. And then it's imperative that you have your blog and news page. Like I said, if you want to stay relevant with Google search, it's very, very important to have a blog. Like I said, they ask, you answer. If you can't think of a question to blog about that week, you can always put something in the news. I mean, if I'm thinking that I don't have anything to write about that week, I'll do a search and see if my company was listed in the news. Maybe you hired somebody else, but it's just imperative to try to keep up with that refreshing content every week. Okay. Some visual must-haves for modern designs for websites. So most important is a mobile-friendly design. 75% of website traffic comes from mobile browsing. So you want to make sure your site looks great on mobile devices. Most of the builders that I had mentioned, they have a preview mode so you can see what your site would look like on a mobile device. And you want to make sure like you can see all the text, you can see the buttons, everything's easy to read. Make sure your site has easy to find calls to action. Contact us, learn more, sign up, anything that asks them to do something, that's called a call to action. Make sure your text is easy to read. Another big thing is fast loading time. There's a thing called bounce rate. And if people go onto your website and it doesn't load fast enough, they're going to bounce right off of it, which leads to a high bounce rate. So make sure that your site is loading fast enough. And we're actually going to go into some software later that can, excuse me, lead to a fast loading time on a site. Will actually tell you how long it takes and how you can improve that website loading time. And then an easy to use navigation menu. Usually they're at the top, but you know, if you click on one and it has a drop down, make sure the drop down is visible and easy to see. It's really frustrating if you go and you click the drop downs on the site to find out more and you can't read the text. So make sure everything is easy to use and visible. Okay, and again, 100% make sure your website is multiple device friendly. Tablets, mobile phones, larger computers, laptops. And that goes back to your site having what's called a responsive design. And most of the modern builders these days will automatically integrate that. Okay, another design aspect is called the website F. If you can see my screen, you'll see that, this is a screenshot of the Amazon site, but we actually have an F shape here. And that's because people follow the F design because when they're looking at a screen, they automatically look to the left and then they move to the right and then they move down. So when you're putting your content in your website, you want to kind of follow that F template just to make sure that people can see everything and, it's easiest for them to see. So they look left and they look right and they look down. So you have an F there. So just take that into account when you're building your site, is to remember the F. Okay, so tips on making your website more visually appealing. Number one is choose the right fonts. Don't go crazy and use 70 gazillion different fonts. Stick to one or two, maybe three at the most. Your headings should be larger and have bolder text. So for example, here, this is considered a header, so I have bold text and it's larger. Body text should be smaller and easy to read. So, I think the font that I use for my site is called, this is called Railway, and it's always smaller, and this heading font is called Barlow, and that's what I just use for everything just because it's brand standard for my company, and it's easy to remember, and it's also very easy to read. You should also make your colors work together. Stick with 3 to 4 brand standard colors. Too many more and the site will look too busy and disorganized. So for my site, most of the sites I use are purple, green, and white because that's my brand standard. But we're actually going to, okay. So this is an example of what not to do with your website. This is the world's worst website. So this might have been popular, back in the late 90s, but this is an absolute no-no now. So this website was graphically designed to demonstrate the most common mistakes made by new web designers. Okay. So where am I and where are the links to other pages? An easy to use navigation structure is essential to any well-designed website. Important information should be no more than 2 clicks away. So it should be up here. And then this one right here. As you can see, this text is difficult to read. There needs to be more contrast between the background color and the text color. Here's another example of a poor background text color and size. So you can see this this text right here is just really muddied and lost with this busy background. Keep it simple. White or light colors usually work best. I'm just a fan of plain white. Your background should not compete with the content of a picture for the user's attention. If you would like to use a background picture, select a picture that uses muted colors or format your picture as a watermark. Select text colors which will contrast well in the background picture. So again, easy to design, easy to see, easy to read, keep it simple. Don't run a gazillion animations on your site. Like, it's kind of, some modern sites choose to do this, but I'm okay with a few animations, but to be honest, I think that too many visual things moving around is more like a horrible PowerPoint presentation. So keep your animations and whatnot to a minimum. Okay, so okay, so this is kind of the design that I use for all my websites. Like, if you're going to build a template, this is the one to use. So up here we have our header and navigation, and we'll go into what you should have in your header further into the presentation, but it should always sit above the navigation. I put mine to the left just because it goes back to that F web design method. You're going to look to the left when you look on a site. I usually put a large slideshow or scrolling images here with a call to action like contact us, learn more. But if you're having some trouble choosing what images to use in that, you can always pick images of your services, your products for sale, events, anything that prompts a quick call to action. Down here, I usually list services with learn more buttons. So for example, with my landscaping sites, I'll put, we offer mowing, weed control, insect control, and down below each picture, there'll be a learn more button, so they go to the page with that specific information. I usually put one more part here, which is missing on this photo, but it's a testimonial slider. So if you have some decent reviews on like Facebook and Google, I would definitely put them on the first page of your website. And then you want to put your footer at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to go on another website right now called Cooler, which is a color palette picker that's for free that you can use to basically map out the colors to your website and make it look good. Okay, so I don't know what exactly we have for attendees today. I know one of them was from a country club. So if I think country club, what do I think of? I think of green, brown, something natural. So I'm gonna pick something that's, I don't think this blue is gonna work. So let me try this one instead. So I'm gonna view the shades I can find for green. So let's see what we have here. So if I'm gonna pick this color, it automatically generates good colors that go with it. So we have this nice sea green, more of a tan type green, and then what's called raisin black. So if I want to use these different palettes on my website, I can export this so I can save them, or I can select these colors, copy this, and then use this as a hex code, as it's called, to save as a color on my website. Most of the website builders allow that. So if you have your 3 or 4 colors, you can actually save this hex code, as it's called, and use it on a continual basis on your website and save it. Yeah, definitely use this, play around with it. It's really fun to play with. I've actually used it to paint my kitchen. And you can kind of, you can move it around to see what it would look like. But yeah, it creates really nice color palettes for you, so you don't have, a mess of clashing colors. It makes everything work. There's also a mobile app for it. So if you're on the go, you can download the mobile app and it's much easier to use. Okay, and that was coolor.com. Alternatively, and I had forgotten to mention before, there's actually if you use Google Chrome, there's actually something called an extension that you can use to save colors that you like. So, if you're browsing a web and you see a color that you can like, you can install this this extension and you can actually grab the color. So I like this blue right here. So I'm going to save this. And then it saves it as a hex code so you can use it further on to build your website. And that's called Color Grab, by the way. Okay. So another, and this is kind of going off topic, but another Chrome extension I use on a regular basis to build sites is called Grammarly. It is free, but obviously you don't want your site to have typos and misspellings, and Grammarly will actually correct your grammar and your spelling for you, and that is free. It's GRAMMRLY.com. So website headers, what should be included? your logo or brand identifier, call to action. Most often I usually see like a button for email or a button to call. Your headline, so what's your company's tagline, mine is full service agency and digital agency in Middletown, Connecticut, but you can customize it to whatever you want. Obviously, you want your navigation. And then some people choose to have search and some don't. But if you put it in there, it gives people an opportunity to just type in what exactly they're looking for if they're looking for specific services. Footer. Okay, most important is your copyright. Keeps people from stealing your content and your images, and that's really important for people that are in a visual industry such as photography and video. You should also have a privacy policy, which is basically a document that says what type of information you're collecting from people that visit the site. You can actually go on to freeprivacypolicygenerator.com and generate your own for free. But it's I would definitely recommend it these days because of the new global data protection rules. It's really important for people to know what information that you're collecting from them as they go on your website. Another important thing for website footer is contact. So, if people are scrolling through your site and they like what they see and they get to the bottom of the site, they can always click contact down there. If you have a physical location, it's important to have your address and a link to map. So you can always install a map widget, or alternatively, you can just go to Google Maps, put in your address, and put the link to that specifically. If you have a phone and fax number, absolutely put that in. You can also put navigation in that's shortened. So if there's specific pages on your site that you want people to go to the most, you can always put those in. I work with a couple nonprofits, and we always put in the footer about donate and contact because we, obviously we want to collect donations, so we try to put that forth the most. And finally, if you have social media, it's really great to put the icons in the footer because granted, you want people to look at your social media, but ideally you want them to stay on your website as long as possible. So if you go to the footer, you can click on those social icons after you've browsed the entire top of the website. Sorry, my throat's dry this morning. So if you want to add more visual aspects to your website, some really great stock and photo and video websites I use. Oh, sorry, there's a typo there, folks. Unsplash, Pexels, Pixabay, and Canva. Unsplash is, as they call, millennial-friendly photos. So there's a lot of photos of food and travel, things like that. You can download and you can attribute the photo to the artist that put it up there, but it's free and you don't have to. Pexels and Pixabay offer the same type of photos, but they also offer stock videos, which is pretty neat. And then Canva is my personal favorite. I'm actually using Canva right now to create this presentation, but they have 10 million something stock photos, just vector graphs. There's also videos, custom fonts, and you can have the free version, but the paid version offers you more, and it's only $10 a month. And I highly recommend it. It makes my life so much easier. And I actually did a presentation on Canva a couple months ago that you might be able to ask the chamber for about how to use it properly. Here are some free optimization tools to make your site build it better. So GTX metrics, I use all the time. It offers an awesome website optimization tool that can help you determine how fast your page loads and what you need to do to fix it. So if you run it through, it will actually give you a grade on how fast your site is from A to F. Ideally, you want to be in the B to A grade. F is too slow, and it's going to make people leave your site automatically. You want your site to load ideally faster than 5 seconds, and GTX metrics will actually tell you what you can do specifically to improve that load speed. Another important one is Google Analytics. Extremely detailed, measures website traffic. I would do some research on it before you use it, but all you have to do to use it is actually install some code in your header of your website, and it measures website traffic in really great detail. So this is really important if you run an e-commerce site. So, you know, you can see what people are looking for, what search terms people use to get to your site, what demographic of people are looking at your site, what time they went on, what pages they visited, where they came from. You know, are they coming from your social media? Are they coming organically from Google? Google Analytics will tell you that. If you are looking to get better with your search engine optimization, Ubersuggest is a great website to give keyword ideas. So you'd put your type of business in, and it will generate 500 some odd keywords that you can use in the text of your website to get better found on Google. And then Google Test My Site is a really great performance site for your mobile site. So if you're concerned that your mobile site isn't up to par, go on Google Test My Site, put your URL in, and it will tell you what your mobile website performance is. It's really, really useful. Okay, so that is it for now. My contact info is here. I'm going to look at the questions and answers in a second. But if you all have any questions that you think of down the road, you can always reach me at info@forestcitymarketing.com or 860-740-2803. Okay. So I'm going to open up the chat here. Okay. Please explain more of contact versus phone, fax, and footer. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, so Jen Haflinger asks, please explain more contact versus phone and footer. So this is kind of a repetitive thing, but you can either put just a contact button that links back to your contact page, or alternatively, you can put a link in your footer that says, you know, call us at 860-740-2803, and then you link that button to your phone. So getting more into the technical aspects, if you want to put a phone number in and then, you know, tap that phone number so it pops up on a phone screen, you would do TEL:860-740-2803, and that would automatically pop up on a mobile number to call. I hope that answered your question. Okay.
Are there any additional questions? The chat or the question and answer function. You know, Lauren, can you maybe in the chat put in the websites for the colors and the Grammarly?
Yeah. Yep.
Just want to make sure we have it correct, because that's good stuff. All right. Any other questions? Anybody?
And then, okay, I put the cooler.com and grammarly.com in there, and let me put the you know, the basic website builders in there as well. I recently saw my first page website. What are your thoughts on these? I don't quite understand your question, Jen.
Oh, one
Oh,
page.
okay. So like a landing page, absolutely. Use landing pages as much as you want. Like I said, people are lazy, so if they can get all the information on that page, 100% do that. And most of the modern website builders offer that functionality now to create a landing page, you know, and all you really need on that landing page is, you know, your about and your contact, and that makes it really, really easy. I hope that answered your question.
All right, one did come in. Did you see that? Will you be reaching out to those of us that are requesting more support?
Absolutely. Sheila, yes, I know who you are. So I'm actually helping out Anne-Marie at the Buttonwood right now. So absolutely, yes. Anytime you need assistance, just let me know.
Excellent. Okay, any more questions? All right, with that being said, Lauren, again, thank you so much. A lot of great content and information that you gave us today. We will be sending these slides out along with links to all the things that are in the chat. So watch for that from Danielle Lee. Thank you, everybody. Try to enjoy the snow as much as possible, and everyone stay healthy and safe. Have a great day.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for coming.